Hey, welcome back to Gold's Garage. So, I had a viewer when I made the video about the tools you need. Say it was kind of confusing the way I talked about finding top dead center with tools to use. So, this is one that I'm going to use today, and along with my 1969 model Mr. Gasket degree wheel is all you need to degree your camshaft, and I'm going to show you how that works. So, we're going to use Tony's engine for the mock-up. The camshaft in is not Tony's, and very sorry, Tony, and this is not a good story. This engine, the short block's been together for a few months now, and we ordered a comp cam nitrided directly from comp, and because it's nitrided, I guess they wait till they have a whole bunch together before they do the heat treating or whatever, and we're still waiting on it. Now, normally, I like to do all the degreeing with the camshaft, crankshaft in, of course, the camshaft in, and just use one piston with no piston rings. It makes it nice and easy to turn the engine over. Ideally, that's the way I do it, but I couldn't wait, so I've had this short block assembly together for quite a while now. But it still works. It's just that it's a little bit more cumbersome to do it that way. So for the viewer that asked, please like and subscribe. Alec always has to remind me. Please like and subscribe, and I really mean that because we need you guys to do that. We love doing this. It takes time and costs money, and we're not building engines when we're doing this. And if YouTube thinks that you like my video because you like, subscribed, shared, commented, comments are great, and I try to answer as many as I can. Then they think, well, let's show it to somebody else, and that's how YouTubers survive, and either you grow or die on YouTube. So thanks for helping me out with that. So these two tools are going to be used to degree the camshaft. This is not actually Tony's camshaft. Once again, it's just a dummy camshaft that I put, my test camshaft that I put in there. One of the things I'm going to show you first is how to install the timing chain and gears. So the timing gear that goes on there is right now in my little easy bake oven, being warmed up, and typically where it fits over that keyway is about 1/1000th of an inch of interference. So it's a tight fit. It has to come off with a puller, and it has to go on with force. So one of the ways is pretty common. You put a sleeve or something over and you whack it home and it goes on. I don't like to do that. There is a more gentle way to do that, and I'm going to show you. So I've already got my gear heated up, and I'm going to install that gear in with my easy bake oven, show you how that works. So let's give it a try here. So well, one glove should be enough. So one of the things we got time to show you, this gear is a Cloy's, part of a Cloy's timing set, and it's got multiple keyways, so I can actually install this gear in plus or minus right up to, I think, 8 degrees by using different keyways. So to make sure I don't get mixed up when it's hot, I have marked it to where I want it to be installed. So the 0 mark is where you want it to be. So let me see if I can get that guy. So that's when it's 0 there it is. It's installed. That's all it takes when it's hot. Now it's going to cool down. I'm going to give it a minute to cool down. So what we have is the 0 mark as to line up with the timing gear when we put it on. And then this white mark is the one that lines up with the gear. So when you're at top dead center, okay, which we are right now, okay, number 1 cylinder, the keyway will always be in this location, and the 0 will always be vertical. There's always an offset. So that's how easy to put it on. No hammering, no force required, and it's on. So I'm going to stop there and resume when we have the gear set ready to install and show you how that works. We need to give that gear a little time to cool down first, okay? Okay, we're back. We had to let our little gear cool down anyway. So this is a Cloy's double roller timing chain, pretty nice piece. And this is going to be going on Tony's engine. We're just mocking this up for demonstration purposes now. And so what they're doing nowadays, they have a little bearing on the back of the timing gear. So why did they do that? So when a camshaft is operating in a car, in the engine, when the engine's running, there's always a force trying to push the camshaft to the back of the engine. And that's created by the taper of the lobe in the lifter. The lifter is about 1,000 to 2,000 bigger on the back side of the engine than the top side. So it's always being pushed to the back. So this surface of the timing gear rubs on the front of the block like this. So the idea of this is to take that friction away. Now, it's a nice idea, and we're doing it. It's a deluxe timing chain, I guess, because we're trying to do everything in this build as well as we can. But think about this. There's over 100 million small block Chevs running around, and 99.9 million of them and change don't have a little bearing in the back, and they're doing just fine. Thank you. But it is a nice thing to do, so we are showing that today. So I'm going to try and get the cam gear on, and that's always a fun job. So here's some things we have to remember when we do that. You need the cylinder at top dead center, okay? The piston at the top dead, or yes, the top dead center, number one cylinder, top dead center. When that's the top dead center, I've tried to gauge, that's about where the dowel should be, at top dead center. We've got the crankshaft. We just put the gear on. The vertical line shows a 0. That's going to line up with this little mark. So when the two marks are lined up, when they come around together, they're going to line up. And then when you rotate the crankshaft 360 degrees, they're going to line up again. Only this time the mark's going to be on the top because the crankshaft turns twice as fast as twice as many revolutions as the camshaft does, right? So I'm going to try and do this on camera. It's a little tedious job. Sometimes it goes well. So we'll try to get that in here. So I try to get the dots lined up, get the chain. And that's one link off. I'll try it there. And I got to do that with the dowel lined up. And did I get it already? We have the two dots lined up. And if I can get this bolt in started, then we got it. So now, these are not the bolts that I'm going to use. They're just for mock-up. I've got a correct timing gear bolt kit ordered, but it's not here right now. So we're just trying to show you this. So the next thing that you would do to make sure you got it right, okay, is rotate the engine. And I've got my tool here around and bring it back around and make sure they're still lined up. So the dots are there, okay, and then here we got our gear to be able to turn the gear. As soon as I get that on there, I'll be all set. There we go. Okay, we're going to rotate it around, and the crankshaft dot is going to come around again. There it is. And the camshaft dot is up here. So if you were to put a straight edge, which is I usually do, when I get it installed, that's a double check to make sure it still lines up. And you come back around. Now actually, when the dot's at the top, you're actually at number 1 firing. When the dot's at the bottom, you're actually at number 1 on the overlap cycle, not on the firing cycle. On a small block Chevy anyway. So it comes back around and it's lined up. Now when we degree it, and then when you install a camshaft, do you have to degree the camshaft? No, you don't. I do it because it's handy for me to do that. I've got the tools to do it. It doesn't take long on a stand. But after degreeing many, I don't know, guess the number, very few times I've had to move the degrees. Now, this timing gear gives me multiple choices, I think up to 8 degrees advance or retard by using different keyways. So we're going to degree this cam. We're going to get our degree wheel on here, and we're going to find top dead center, and we're going to find out where our line is. Okay, we're back. So we got the timing gear on. The small gear, we just put that on and got the chain on. We got the dots lined up. So next we're going to degree the cam. I'm going to put the harmonic balancer on to do that. One of the things, especially on an older engine, the timing mark that GM put there tells you where TDC is, might not be where TDC is. It can move And I found to move as much as 3 or 4 degrees. And one of the things in the balancer, there's really two pieces of a balancer. There's an inner and outer piece, and there's an elastomer in there that's absorbing the shock. So what is a balancer? It's not a balancer. It doesn't balance anything unless your engine is externally balanced, and these are not externally balanced. And even if you have a Generation 2 engine, or even a 400 small block, they're externally balanced only on the, sorry, 400 isn't, but going back to Generation 2 engine, or externally balanced, they're only externally balanced on the back journal, not on the front. So this balancer is neutral. So it's called a balancer, but it isn't. What it is the shock absorber. So every time a piston fires, it tries to accelerate the crankshaft. So this helps to absorb the impact of do that and spread that torsion or that stress out and not shock the crankshaft as much. Without this, every time a cylinder fires, it would be hitting that crankshaft pretty hard like a sledgehammer. So this is kind of hitting it with a rubber hammer instead. So that's what it's really does. It's a torsional vibration damper, not a balancer, although I call it balancer all the time. So I need to put that on. Before I do that, I'm going to, for a mock-up, once again, this is all coming back apart. We're just using Tony's engine for mocking up here. So I'm going to put the cover on, and with no gasket or anything, because it's coming back off. Okay, so there's a couple of dowels, and it's on right there. I'll put a couple of bolts in it just to kind of hold it, although it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, and the reason I'm doing that, I want to check and see if the factory timing mark, and these are all Tony's parts except the camshaft is not. So it'll tell me whether the stock balancer is right or not. So the crankshaft is a keyway. The balancer goes on almost the same way that the gear went on. You got to put a little bit of oil in there. If the surface of this shaft is rusty or scratched up or whatever, I've had this crankshaft balanced and repaired at Atchison Machine, so I know it's in pretty good shape. But anyway, we put some lubrication on the balancer as well, okay, as well as the shaft, and we line up the keyway. Oh, I should put some lubrication on the seal as well, okay, so otherwise the seal might get damaged. And so let's put some lubrication on the seal. And this is the surface of the crankshaft, or the balancer that rubs on the seal. So you should lubricate that as well, otherwise you might damage the seal. So let's see if we can get this balancer on. So we lined up the keyway and we get it started. Okay, and then we're going to use our install tool. And this fits more than one engine, but the small end is a 7/16 thread, typically for small block Chevs, and the big end is 1/2 inch, always fine thread. For big block Chevs and some other engines. Although this is a small block, it does have a 1/2 inch balancer bolt thread. It's been repaired at some time, so someone has enlarged it and made it into 1/2 inch. So we're going to use the sort of the big block end of it. So we want to thread that into the end of your crankshaft, okay, until you used up most of the threads. You want the threads to be strong, but you don't want to jam it in there because it might make it hard to get back out after, because we're going to put some stress on it here in a minute. So tighten that up, and then I'm going to back it off a little bit, and then bring the nut up close. And I got to grab a 5/8. There we go. And we're going to turn this guy on. And as you're going on, all this wrench is doing is make sure that the bolt thread doesn't turn anymore. Okay. And you can see the balancers going on relatively. Sometimes they're harder than others, depending on a whole bunch of things. And when you get it there, it'll tell you. It'll come to a positive stop. And there it is. Okay, you can feel it, and you can see that the balancer is right in installed. And there, I put the piston at top dead center just by eye, but the timing marks are lined up. So there you are. Your timing mark is lined up pretty darn close to get started. And next we got to get our tool back off. This. And install the balancer bolt. Okay. Degree wheel. Okay. And for now, we will assume that's top dead center, and we'll get set up and degree this camshaft. Okay, how we got started, a viewer asked me how the top dead center tool worked, and so we're going to display that. So one of the things you need to do, or we are going to do anyways, this is Tony's balancer. So we're going to determine that the top dead center mark on the balancer is correct with his timing mark on his timing cover. And because this is an original restoration, it's the original style timing cover, the original balancer, and all that stuff. As I mentioned earlier, that sometimes the mark can be wrong. So if Ali can come around here and see, we installed our top dead center positive stop tool. So we just bolt this to the block with a couple of old head bolts, and I can adjust this part down until it touches the. When the piston comes up, the dome of the piston is going to hit it. Okay, so make sure that's good and tight. Okay, on one direction, then we reverse it on the other direction, and if the number of degrees are the same, we're at top dead center. So let's see what happens here. So we're going to go in a positive direction first, positive rotation first. There we are. So right now it's at 40. So there's TDC. So it's at 41 degrees after or before top dead center. We're going this way. So there's 41 degrees before top dead center. Now we go the other way, back the other way, until it hits the piston again. And it is at 41 degrees. Sorry, it's at 39 degrees, okay? Before top, because we're coming up this way. It's at 39 degrees. So it's actually off a little bit. So what we have to do is just move the pointer a little bit and try it again. So let's go around again. So we'll put it at top dead center. So we'll go around until we get the top dead center again. When the piston hits, piston is hitting my tool here right now, just gently. Okay, now it's at just about 41 degrees or 40 degrees, right on. And guess what? We got 40 degrees as well. So the piston is hitting the top dead center tool 40 degrees before and after top dead center. Therefore, this timing mark is correct. Now let's see if the stock timing mark is correct. So in order to do that, this is just, was a coat hanger in my wife's closet yesterday. And you just bend it up. You can custom make it as a temporary tool, just to verify top dead center. So I'm going to remove this now. Move this tool now. I couldn't actually go to top dead center with the stop in place. And let's go to top dead center. We know this mark is correct. So let's go till it's lined up with top dead center. It is. And the stock timing mark, if you can come around here, Alec, that's a 0 on the stock timing tab, and that's this timing mark on the balancer. So Tony's balancer is in good shape. It hasn't slipped. It's right on TDC. So we always know if we set timing based on this mark, we are, whatever we set, we're exactly what we think it is. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to get set up to degree the camshaft next. We're going to actually degree the cam. We got our setup here. We've got our solid valve lifter installed in the engine. one solid valve lifter on the intake lobe of the intake of number 1 cylinder. So every cam card, the most important information is where the intake center line is. If you install your cam there, you don't have to check anything else. You can trust them. All your other opening and close points will be okay. So I'm using a solid lifter to make sure it doesn't collapse. Hydraulic lifter can throw your numbers off a little bit. So it's the same concept that we just used to find top dead center. We got our degree wheel. We know the degree wheel right now is exactly on top dead center. My little marker that I made out of a coat hanger is right at top dead center. So we know the cam lift is just under 300 thousandths of an inch. So let's say it was 1.5 rocker times 1.5 is 450 lift, right? So this is, I can't even remember which cam is in here, to be honest. It's just a cam we're using to mock up. We're just trying to find out where the center line of this camshaft is. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to rotate the engine around until the cam lift is at 250 thou. Mark that on the degree wheel, whatever that number is on the degree wheel. Continue to rotate until it's gone the back side of the lobe and it's back down to 250 thou on the other side of the lobe. Mark that number off the degree wheel, add them up, divide by 2, and that's going to give us where the intake valve center line is on this cam. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, we want to make sure we start at 0. So I'm going to go down to at 0, make sure that the lifter is right at the bottom on pushing on the cam. We're at 0 on the dial indicator. And if you use a nice long breaker bar, it makes it easy to make, short incremental movements. So let's go and see what happens. So we got to get going here a while because we're at number 1 center firing. So we got to go all the way around to get to where the cam starts lifting. So stick with me. There we go. We're moving. So there's 100 thousandths, 200 thousandths, and we're going to stop at 250 thousandths. Okay. And observe on the degree wheel where we are. So if that's top dead center, right there, we're 63 degrees after top dead center. Spilling oil in my. Okay, we're going to keep going around till the cam goes right up over the peak of the lobe. There it is. It's almost 300 thousandths lift. Not a very big cam. Back down until we're exactly at 50 thousandths again. Here we are. And that is 180 thousandths. So that's 180. It's 150 thousandths. It's lined right up with what I'm looking right at with it, my eye. That's 30 degrees from bottom dead center. So that's 150 thousandths. So we take the 150, the 63, 11, 213. You divide that by 2 equals 106.5 degrees. So the intake valve of this camshaft, whatever cam it is, it doesn't matter, is at 106.5 degrees after top dead center. And that's how you determine where your camshaft intake center line. Now, if you watch the previous part of the video where I installed the gear at 0. So it was not advanced or retarded. If you wanted to move that center line to 102 or 110, you can do that just by taking that gear off. The gear has to come back off and be rotated and use another keyway. Now, I have demonstrated before, and I've used a few of them. You can buy what's called a Cloy's hex adjust, where you can actually adjust the camshaft timing without taking the pulley off and all that stuff. You just take a little plate off in front of the cam, and you can rotate it without taking the engine apart. But for most engines, that's the way to do that. When I get Tony's real cam here, we have ordered, I mentioned this or not, from Comp, we ordered a camshaft nitrided. And unfortunately, that's creating a lot of frustration because it's been on order for a number of months already. And whenever you special order stuff, that's just the way it is, I guess. So we don't have Tony's cam here. I apologize to Tony. As soon as we get it, we will have this hit in and we'll have it installed on its center line. get this engine running and get it to the dyno. Hope you found that interesting. Thank you for watching Gold Scratch.